Two sides, yes, please.
Can you discuss the two sides, the fierce and the gentle?
Well, it's related to the two sides of the brain, right? The outgoing and the awakened state and the sleep state. Right? So they're not in contradiction. They're just different facets of the same thing. It's kind of like happy, sad. Same being, but the face is happy today because of this or because of that, or sad because of this, because of that, and that's relative to the personality. And what its programming is relative to how it's supposed to feel. Because programming determines, like self-programming, egoic programming or conditioning determines what you laugh at, what you cry at, when you laugh, when you cry, when you are neither, when you're cool, you're just neutral, you're just being here.
So as a teacher, do you just have an intuitive sense of how to approach people?
That's a figure of speech. I don't approach people. They show up and I relate to them depending on what their agenda is. Passing people on the street, nothing particularly personal happening. Everything is easy. It's greetings, basic greetings, no problem, no politics, no concern for how they look and so on. So for me, it's the inside of the person, not the appearance. So it's never by skin. It's by psychic sense, say, openness. So who's safe, who's not safe. Say. And I'm not going to judge a person by their skin color and then subject him to all kinds of nonsense. No, that's not the way. Say. Because the people who can sense know what's good and what's bad. See, they're ahead of, the ball in a certain way. Say. So you can feel earlier, before you even meet the person, what's coming. See? And that's a good way. That's like the psychic way, where you sense something is not right or something is wrong, and then you're walking into it and you feel it, and you see it. You say, oh, okay, I knew this. So we're talking about then the ability, if you can develop the ability of sensing before and knowing before, is best than coming upon it and being shocked and then subject to all kinds of crazies because of your programming. Right? Not because of your enlightenment, but because of your programming relative to fear, anxiety, and what makes you feel good.
Would you equate the fierce with putting pressure on your students?
Not necessarily. Fierce is humorous. Right? Fierce is humor. Right? Fierce is a form of laughter. It depends. If I'm going around with a bat and touching people, that's not necessarily funny, but it would be too. Right? They say, guys using the baseball bat on us today. Never happened. No need for it. See? Because what we're really cultivating is stillness and peace all the time, regardless of whether or not the voice is intensified or whatever, depending on the person. Some people need to be talked too loudly or powerfully. Maybe they don't respond to anything else. That has to be determined. That is a calculation that has to be psychically correct, so nobody feels offended unnecessarily. The teacher's function is to heal, not just offend those who are bugging the situation, right, so to speak. Right. Doesn't arise. Right. So from the clears, it really stays pretty clear. Right. Know that. Right. So you have the clear in you. Your people have the clear in them, but they do not choose or perhaps ordinarily operate from the clear.
And so is the pressure you put on students a way to get them to the clear?
Well, it's not pressure, it's just teaching. The pressure you talk about is self-created. It's not pressure. Asking you to practice and do these things is no pressure. But asking you to look up into the sky is not pressure. Asking you to look at your shoes is no pressure. So asking you, in terms of that is no pressure in itself, but people would say, well, you made me look at my shoes and I don't know what to do with that. And all of a sudden you're having an anxiety attack because you don't know what to do with looking at your shoes. You don't know what it means. So that's self-created. So it has nothing to do with the teacher unless you have that kind of teacher that's, doing tricks on your head and making you do strange things. To each their own. That's not what's happening here. Here you have to look inside. That's the thing. The demand is to look inside to see what your phenomena is that you're experiencing, your emotions, your thoughts, and whether or not you feel there's integration and focus, or even perception that takes you deeper to a certain place that is kind of related to the music. And you hear it, you close your eyes, the music here, the Adami music, and you feel good. And where's the pressure? Yeah, it's intense because it's music, it's being played, right? It's force, but it's not offending anybody, it's not putting anybody down, right? It's welcome pressure, in fact. You want to hear the intensity. Listening to avant-garde jazz is intense, it's pressure, but it's creative pressure. It's pressure that is part of the creative process of going deeper. And to go deeper, you need to exert yourself. So it depends on what you mean by pressure is either good or bad or whatever. So we need energy, we need pressure. You need to exert yourself to get out of bed and do things. Change your tire, right? Your car tire, and so on. So the pressure's there. We can handle a lot of pressure. So pressure used wisely, right, for the benefit of oneself or others is well used, it seems.
Because it would seem that some people respond well to a so-called kick in the ass, but other people are maybe too wounded or too...
If you're in the Dharma, you should have some background already. Some teachers are intense, and people love them for it, because more gets done with them. Some teachers are very relaxed and maybe too laid back for other students. So you have to find your match, so to speak, what you feel is the right balance as a student. Like the music I play is so demanding, most people don't even want to talk about it. That's a lot of pressure. But that's my nature, is to be that way. I've been that way since being a drum prodigy as a child. That's all I loved was the drums, playing all the time. And maybe that's pressure, and understandably it's like banging, so it's drums. For certain people it's too much pressure. So then it's a matter of who's perceiving the pressure, who is delivering the pressure, and what is it? Something like a ballerina who's doing a particular position on her toe, on a big toe. That's pressure. Have no doubt. She's under a lot of pressure, but this is art now. You want pressure to do more and demonstrate creativity to the extreme, because that's what art is about. Extreme pressure, no doubt.